Sacramento, are you there?
Yes.
Perfect. Give us 1 second to fix some audio issues. 1 second. You're all right. Testing. Perfect. We're ready to go. Good morning, everyone. I would like to call the Calbright College Board of Trustees Executive Committee meeting to order this morning on June 26th at 11:01 a.m. And before the meeting gets started, I'd like our board liaison to review the meeting procedures and protocols.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I am Terry Lucas, the board liaison at Calbright College. You can follow our meeting agenda on Diligent Community. The link can be found on our website, which is calbright.org/board. For attendees who wish to make public comment in person, please fill out a public comment card and submit to me. For attendees who participate remotely, please use the Q&A feature on Zoom to address the board for up to 3 minutes. When submitting your request, please indicate the agenda item you wish to comment on or whether your comment is intended for the public forum. Public comment should be used to address today's agenda. A reminder that this board meeting is being recorded. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liaison Lucas. May I ask you to please call the roll?
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Present.
Amy Costa. Here. Pam Hain. Here. Jennifer Perry. Jennifer Perry is absent. 3 present. We have a quorum, President Aguinaldo.
Thank you very much, Liaison Lucas. Now we will proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Costa, may I ask you for the honor of leading us in the pledge?
Sure. And over your heart, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Trustee Costa. Does anyone have any comments on the order of the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to my president's report. I would like to cede my time to President Menon. So President Menon, you're up for your CEO report.
Thank you so much, and good morning, President Aguinaldo, Vice President Perry, members of the Board of Trustees Executive Committee. First and foremost, I wanted to express my gratitude for your study council and the commitment to Calbright and the adult learners we serve all across California. We are currently at a pivotal moment for our institution. And I know many of you have heard me use that phrase before, but that's really the beauty of this organization and the reason that your leadership is so vital. It's that we build those transformational moments together. We are here actively shaping a new paradigm for public higher education, and every milestone we reach is a direct reflection of that strategic guidance and support that this board has provided since day one. So now we're just days away from another significant milestone, which is Governor Newsom's signing of the 2026-2027 state budget with the inclusion of ongoing funds for Calbright. And as you all know, the state legislature recently voted on the 2026-2027 state budget, which also includes the governor's recommended ongoing funding level of $53.1 million for Calbright. This is a massive victory, but it also didn't happen overnight. And we still await legislative action in the form of budget trailer bills. But despite all that, this still is such a culmination of a years-long advocacy journey. And many of you probably remember when state leaders met our model with questions and with skepticism. But together, we really leaned into those questions. We met every challenge, every requirement put before us. And we did this through rigorous proof of concept testing and iteration, very tireless relationship building, and I think most importantly, an unwavering commitment to demonstrating what this model can do for California's adult learners. So, what we all now see is a model that pairs human centered support and innovative technology to reach working age adults, those whose lives were never really fully contemplated by traditional educational structures built decades ago. With this funding comes a new chapter for Calbright, and it's one that we welcome. It's a new opportunity to show what a modern and responsive institution can achieve for learners, for employers, for partners in regions and in communities across California. And it also comes with new expectations for accountability, for performance. And I'm just going to say we welcome those as well, because our momentum isn't just financial, it is also academic and structural. I'm really proud to highlight a milestone that further validates the quality and the rigor of our educational model, which is Calbright's successful review by the American Council on Education, ACE, which you'll hear more about from Senior Vice President of Strategic Initiatives, Dr. Tamika Connor. So ACE has evaluated 9 of our competency-based non-credit workforce programs and officially recommended them for lower division college credit recognition. It means that the skills our learners gain at Calbright are now recognized for transferable college credit in ways that dramatically increase the portability and value of a Calbright credential. While we celebrate these important milestones, we also have to stay grounded in the realities of the moment as we transition beyond our startup phase into a more mature organization. This year and this season of transition has brought an undeniable mix of emotions. We've been balancing strict financial responsibility with our obligation to maintain student services and core operational needs. And that's required difficult decisions as we navigate both uncertainty regarding future resources and also the ongoing planning necessary to position the college for long-term success. And I know the uncertainty of this period has really taken a toll, and I want to acknowledge the impact that that's had on the college. Because of our successful advocacy and a clearer financial picture, alongside the important work of diligently evaluating our operational needs, our priorities, our capacities, mainly to ensure that we're prepared to meet the expectations that come with this next chapter of growth and accountability. Because of all of that, we have been able to carefully and judiciously rescind layoff notices for a number of team members, ensuring that they continue their vital work with us as the new fiscal year begins July 1. So for those classified and confidential positions still impacted by layoff notices, our intention remains to recall additional positions post July 1 as operational needs, priorities, and the final state budget terms materialize. As we look to the horizon, our operational readiness is underscored also by the tentative 2026-2027 Calbright budget that's being presented to trustees today. My deep appreciation goes to our CFO, Ed Lee, and our Comptroller, Executive Director of Finance, Amber Borth, who have been working with department leads over many months, and to Ed for also sharing those updates with faculty and staff along the way. This tentative budget serves as our financial roadmap for the upcoming fiscal year, and it really reflects a disciplined and responsible utilization of resources, and also that continued work with policymakers and partners to expand our impact, all in service of our learners and the communities across California that we serve. As we prepare for the start of the fiscal year, on today's agenda, the board is also being asked to approve Ted Lai in the role of Interim Vice President for Student Services and Success. Many of you may recall that Ted had previously served in this capacity from 2021 to 2023, and we're really excited about the prospect of his return because it really includes a deep breadth of his experience in student-centered digital education, both here in the US and also internationally. Critical skills and critical experience that will help us prepare for that next phase of our work at Calbright. As we look ahead, I'm also reminded that growth and change, they're rarely comfortable things. Yet those are the very things that are often necessary to meet the challenges that are before us. And when I reflect on it, it's really our students that understand this better than anyone. Every day, they navigate uncertainty, they overcome obstacles, and they continue moving forward in pursuit of greater opportunity. It is the why and the reason they come to Calbright. So this moment is not an endpoint for Calbright, it's really the beginning of a next chapter. And with that stronger footing also is coming greater responsibility to our students, to our partners, and to the people of California who have invested in this work. And we welcome that responsibility. I want to close by just thanking you, issuing a thank you to our Board of Trustees, our faculty, our staff, our students, and our partners for their continued support in this mission. Because together we're going to continue expanding those opportunities for adult learners and continue to demonstrate what's really possible when innovation and public purpose come together. I really look forward to navigating this next chapter of growth and impact alongside each of you. And with that, I'll conclude my remarks and turn things back over to our president, Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Thank you very much, President Menon. At this time, we'll move to the closed session. Closed session items include item 2.1, conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6, Agency Designated Representative Shannon McCarty, Employee Organization, Calbright Faculty Association. Item 2.2 is conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6, Agency Designated Representative Tamea E. Hiroshi, Employee Organization, California School Employees Association. Item 2.3 is conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6, Agency Designated Representative Tamea E. Hiroshi, Employee Organization, Unrepresented Employees. Item 2.4 is public employee employment, Government Code Section 54957, subsection B, position interim vice president of student services and success. And finally, item 2.5, public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957 subdivision B, title faculty success counselor. Is there any public comment on the closed session items?
There is no public comment.
Thank you, Liaison Lucas. We expect to return from closed session in approximately 40 minutes. See you then.
President Aguinaldo, we are ready here. Where is she? There she is.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Perfect. Liaison Lucas, are we ready to go?
Yes, we are, President Aguinaldo.
I don't think we can hear Sacramento.
Terry said we're good to go. Can you hear us?
Let's try that one more time. Liaison Lucas, are we ready to go?
Yes, we are ready to go.
Perfection. I can hear you now. Okay. In closed session for this meeting of June 26, 2026, the Calbright College Executive Committee of the Board of Trustees took the following action. For agenda item number 2.2, the Executive Committee of the Board voted to ratify the Memorandum of Understanding between the California School Employees Association and its Calbright Chapter number 53 and Calbright College regarding the impacts of layoffs for the 2026-2027 school year by a vote of 3 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 abstentions. The MOU includes compensation provisions for a one-time payment equivalent to 2 months of medical stipend at Calbright's current contribution amount, currently $1,200 per month for the months of July and August 2026, in one lump sum on July 15, 2026. A second one-time payment equivalent to 2 months of medical stipend at the current contribution amount, currently $1,200 per month for the months of September and October 2026, in one lump sum on September 15, 2026, for employees who have not been reemployed with Calbright as of August 31, 2026, prorated for part-time employees corresponding to their FTE, and an additional one-time lump sum payment of $200 for subscription to professional development such as LinkedIn Learning to be issued as part of the June 2026 payroll. The roll call vote was as follows. Yeas, Haynes, Costa, Aguinaldo. Nays, 0. Abstentions, 0. Absent, 1. For agenda item 2.3, the executive committee of the board voted to approve payment of compensation to unrepresented employees who will be laid off effective June 30, 2026 for the 2026-2027 school year, equivalent to the amounts approved for CSEA unit members by a vote of 3 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 abstentions. The approved compensation provisions include a one-time payment equivalent to 2 months of medical stipend at Calbright's current contribution amount, currently $1,200 per month, for the months of July and August 2026, in one lump sum on July 15, 2026, a second one-time payment equivalent to 2 months of medical stipend at the current contribution amount, currently $1,200 per month, for the months of September and October 2026, in one lump sum on September 15, 2026, for employees who have not been re-employed with Calbright as of August 31, 2026, prorated for part-time employees corresponding to their FTE, and an additional one-time lump sum payment of $200 for subscription to professional development, such as LinkedIn Learning, to be issued as part of the June 2026 payroll. The roll call vote was as follows. Yeas, Costa, Haynes, Aguinaldo. Nays, 0. Abstentions, 0. Absent, 1. And finally, for agenda item number 2.5, the executive committee of the board voted to approve the recommendation to award tenure to employee ID number 1115, faculty success counselor, by a vote of 3 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 abstentions. The roll call vote was as follows. Costa, Haynes, Aguinaldo. Nays, 0. Costa, Haynes, and Aguinaldo were yeas. Nays, 0. Abstentions, 0. Absent, 1. Okay, thank you for bearing with me while I read through all of that. Let's move now to the consent agenda. Do any trustees wish to remove an item from the consent agenda for discussion or separate vote? Hearing none, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you, Liaison Lucas. May I have a motion and a second?
I'll move the item.
Second.
Thank you, trustees. Terry, may I have the roll call, please?
Hildegard Aguinaldo,
Yay.
Amy Costa,
Aye.
Pamela Haynes. Aye. 3 approved, 0 opposed. Motion passes, President Aguinaldo.
Thank you, Liaison Lucas. Let's move now to the action agenda. Item 4.1 is adoption of the 2026-2027 tentative budget. And for that, we welcome Amber Borth, our Controller Executive Director of Finance.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Great, thank you. Good afternoon, Board President Alvarado, Calbright President, CEO Menon, staff and community. My name is Amber Borth. I need to share my screen, sorry. Let me make sure I do that. There we go. Okay. And I'm the Executive Director of Finance at Calbright. Today I'm presenting the 26-27 budget. For today's time, I've included an agenda, which includes an overview of Calbright, a review of the budget preparation and process, and lastly, the detail of the 26-27 tentative budget, inclusive of headwinds and tailwinds, the strategic vision framework, and major budget goals. First, we're going to review Calbright's tentative budget. Calbright College's 26-27 tentative budget represents the strategic goals for 2027 and is based on an assumption of flat annual funding of $15 million per year, as well as the governor's May revised proposal of $38.1 million in ongoing base funding to support Calbright's transition from startup to sustainable operations. Secondly, the tentative budget reflects Calbright's focus on its students through its program growth, expanding its access, and focus on program completion and career outcomes. In this next section, I'd like to highlight the budget preparation and budget process. In accordance with Board Policy 6200, which is shown here, the college will share information to the board on the aspects of the organization's budget development process. While I won't go into each bullet point, I want to highlight that the budget preparation process supports the college's strategic priorities, includes key known budget assumptions, and takes into consideration long-term goals and commitments. Here's a high-level budget process overview, which consists of three main steps: assumptions, adjustments, and finalization. In the assumption phase, building on the March budget calendar, budget leads developed current year spend patterns and forecasts to set the budget baseline for 26-27 assumptions, which included personnel, program additions, and operating expenditures. Leads also coordinated across teams to account for interdependencies, and we were working through multi-scenario planning to address funding uncertainty. In the adjustments phase, initial assumptions were consolidated and reviewed with President Menon, Chief of Staff Drummond, and the Budget Advisory Committee, whose feedback drives a second iteration with budget leads. In the finalization phase, the draft budget is presented to the Board of Trustees for review, including any required public hearings, which will occur in August before the final budget adoption. We're now going to move into the details of the 26-27 tentative budget. In preparing the tentative budget, we considered both the headwinds and the tailwinds shaping 2026-27. On the headwind side, the final state budget has not yet been acted. The governor is expected to sign by June 30th, which is just days after this meeting. So our funding assumptions remain subject to change. We're also tracking federal funding developments, which may affect future opportunities. On the tailwind side, the governor's May revise includes $38.1 million in ongoing base funding to support Calbright. We continue to see strong student demand across the state, with presence in 57 of 58 counties, and the budget aligns with the current state priorities for workforce-aligned and adult learner-focused education. The tentative budget is built to support Calbright's 2024-2027 strategic vision framework. The three priorities, to serve students and employers, drive institutional excellence, and amplify our innovative approach, are supported by 6 goals shown here, including expanding multidimensional opportunities for adult learners, developing a sustainable funding approach, and forging strategic partnerships. Each expenditure line in the budget supports one or more of these goals. Within that strategic framework, the tentative budget centers on 3 major goals. First, continuing program growth with 4 new program launches planned for later this year. Second, expanding access to broaden Calbright's statewide reach for working adults. And third, driving completion and career outcomes for our students. Looking specifically at program growth, the 4 new program launches planned for fiscal year 26-27 are shown in bold. In our computer technology pathway, those are offensive cybersecurity, IT foundation, and Gen AI. In our business pathway, it's UX, UI. These join our existing programs across computer technology, healthcare, and business, including information technology support, defensive cybersecurity, Network Plus, medical coding, community health worker, CRM platform administration, data analysis, project management, HR learning and development, and HR talent acquisition. Excuse me. Turning to the key budgetary highlights, on the revenue side, we are projecting approximately $53.7 million in total revenue. Again, this is made up of the $38.1 million in proposed adjusted base state funding, as well as the $15 million in recurring annual state funding, and approximately $600,000 in philanthropy and investment income. On the expenditure side, we're investing approximately $32.9 million in our workforce, which is salaries and benefits, to support program growth and student outcomes. Other operating expenses and services total approximately $20 million, which is primarily technology and software licensing, student outreach, and core operating costs. Supplies and capital outlay together total under $300,000, reflecting Calbright's fully online model with no physical campus or facilities cost. Lastly, our projected ending reserve position is 15.6%, which is slightly below the Chancellor's recommended 16.7% minimum. We're actively managing this through scenario planning and will continue to address as the final state budget is enacted. This slide shows the consolidated tentative budget. Total revenues, as we've said, are projected at $53.7 million, with total expenditures at $53.2 million, resulting in a projected surplus of $569,000. Combined with the beginning balance of $7.7 million on July 1st, which is a projection of 2026, this brings the projected ending fund balance to $8.3 million on June 30th, 2027, or a projected reserve percentage of 15.6%. The budget remains in progress pending the state final budget enactment, and we will return to the board in August with refinements as needed. Looking ahead, our next steps are threefold. First, we'll track bill language to understand any potential impacts to our funding assumptions. Second, we will continue refining the 26-27 tentative budget and present it to the board for final approval in August. And third, we'll close the financial records for 25-26, submit the year and expenditures report to the Chancellor's Office, and work with our third-party auditors on regular audit activities. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to take any questions that the board might have.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Amber. Trustees, do you have any questions or comments? Trustee Costa.
Yeah, thanks, Amber, for the presentation. It was really good. I'm wondering if we have done any cost projection on the software tax that's included as part of the budget negotiations right now. It's a new tax on the purchase of software licensing, etc. And I know some other public entities, have a concern about that. So I'm just wondering if we've done any projections on that. It's kind of relatively new.
No, thank you for highlighting that, Trustee Costa. I think as we get closer to the finalization of the budget, we would be happy to dig into that question specific to our usage, to understand what, if any, cost impacts result from ultimately if the tax becomes real and passed through the legislature. So we will happily report back to the board on accounting for those things once we've assessed the provisions that have been finalized related to the tax and understand how our technology use is implicated.
Great, thank you.
Trustee Haynes.
So I guess mine is sort of a more generalized question regarding the budget relative to staying on top of the tech piece. And you probably have to say yes to this question, so maybe I shouldn't be asking it because the blessing of Calbright is to have this tech piece, and so while we're doing very well relative to that, it does require, I believe, and you can say that I'm wrong, it does require continuation of making it better, more user-friendly, recognizable relative to who our students are. And do you foresee that the funding that will be getting, hopefully, will be sufficient to keep on top of that piece?
Well, I will say we absolutely anticipate expanding our technology capabilities. And I'm sure you've heard me say this before, but for us, what's very important is the foundational infrastructure we've built within the way that we've built the technology, constructed our systems, and then also the talent that allows us to continue to develop and evolve the experiences on the delivery side that learners have, and also the effectiveness of our ability to operate as an institution. So I will say we will need to continue to invest in that capability build for us. It looks different now in this day and age than it might have looked 20 years ago, where a lot of that was acquisition or procurement focused. There will, of course, be some of those things, but a large part of that is also the capability development within the technology and the talent on our teams, to have the capacity to continue to evolve that experience for our learners. So, I think absolutely we plan to enhance our capabilities as an institution to deliver that high quality experience for our learners. And part of that is just that building and strengthening that internal capability.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, no other questions. Liaison Lucas, do we have any public comments?
There is no public comment, President Equinaldo.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, trustees. Terry, may I have the roll, please?
Hildegard Aguinaldo,
Aye.
Amy Costa,
Aye.
Pamela Haynes.
Aye.
3 approved, 0 opposed. Motion passes, President Aguinaldo.
Thank you, Liaison Lucas. Let's move to item 4.2, approve fiscal year 2026-2027 annual operational contracts and renewals. And we will keep Amber Borth in the hot seat for that one. Amber, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen once more time. This time I'm going to share attachment A, which is attached to the agenda item. So this item asks the board to approve 10 reoccurring operational contracts and renewals totaling a not to exceed amount of $7.69 million as seen here in attachment A. These are vendors that keep our operations running: student hotspots, laptops, enrollment advertising, our CRM, insurance, work-based learning and instructional software. Each one, it has a cost above the $100,000 board threshold, and each carries a procurement basis that lets us renew without separate competitive bidding, cooperative purchasing, JPA memberships, sole source, or an instructional materials exemption as noted in the attachment. I'm going to continue to scroll just so we have an opportunity to see all 10 of these items. And then I'm going to highlight the first two. So the first two items include CDW at $2 million and T-Mobile for $932,000. And this is for hotspots. Both grew because enrollment grew. This is due to student demand exceeding our earlier estimates, which is representative of the continued enrollment growth. Second, a few agreements had to be executed within these two to avoid disrupting student services. So this action both approves contracts that are not yet finalized for next fiscal year, as ratifying some of those that are already in effect and in alignment with board policies. All of this is consistent with our fiscal year 26 budget and the tentative 27 budget assumptions I just presented earlier today. Staff recommends approval. I'm happy to take any questions along with any other team members that may be closer to these agreements.
Thank you very much, Amber. Any discussion from our trustees?
We both have questions, of course. I'll defer to my colleague Haynes.
So, while I absolutely appreciate the need to collapse all of these items into one document, it was difficult, one, to identify just what the total amount was. This is a very creative way, and I understand the why of it, but it would have been helpful to have it on a spreadsheet for me, and maybe that's because I'm a visual learner. But the other is when we're going to take this as a vote, and so I realize that I'm voting for every one of these, but I still don't know what the total amount I'm voting on. And not that I wouldn't vote on it, but it'd be nice to know.
I believe Amber said 7.69 million, correct?
Did you say that? I'm sorry, Amber. I
Yes.
apologize. Amber and I had a conversation yesterday. Thank you, Amber. And I'm sorry that I didn't hear that outright. 7.what?
69 million.
7.69.
Trustee Costa.
Anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, President Aguinaldo, I have more of, I guess, a process question, which is, I like this, it certainly makes sense, but how are we defining kind of what fits within this breadbasket? How are we defining which contracts fit kind of operationally? And is that by board policy? Is it by college procedure?
It's reflected in operational delivery need. So I would say what these contracts are pushing forward are the core of our student experience. And so that touches curriculum, that touches device delivery, that touches like a range of things that are, to see a break in any of these contracts would be consequential to the end-to-end experience that learners have with us. And so if there's another way to present that, I think we would happily visualize that for folks. But these are the pieces that are under the hood for what students experience on the front end delivery.
For me, President Minen, it's really more of the process. Where is that ensconced? That definition makes total sense, but I also think on all contracts sort of items, we have to be really clear about when we're treating things differently. And I think you've laid out like a perfect rationale, but I believe it should either be in an internal policy for staff so they know kind of what are the required elements of the contracts to be part of this. I leave it to you to determine kind of what's the best venue for that, but I do think basically what you said needs to live somewhere in policy.
Can I add, it would have been helpful to have that summary statement at the top, that these things our students have to have, or else something stops in the process. And so some definitional, um, um, series of sentences above explaining that piece, because every single one of them um, is needed, and you had the purpose in each one of those, but compounded relative to the amount of money and and it was only like 10, but those were 10 critical pieces. And so tell us that these are 10 in order for us to have students uh, uh, come online tomorrow. We need to have this needs to be in place for any one of these, and so that would have been helpful for the trustee.
We will absolutely take those notes in and make those adjustments when we come back to the board on this type of issue. Because just by way of previewing intention, our desire to align the details of the contracts that are driving some of the budget numbers and the adoption of the budget scenario serves two purposes. One, to make the connection point to the budget, but also in terms of timeliness, being able to take care of these things prior to the start of a fiscal year ensures a level of continuity and operation. So we've been over time trying to align the presentation of these items and then can make that adjustment going forward. Thank you.
And I know on the Board of Governors side, it has taken us over a year, perhaps years, to get the presentation of contracts correctly. So I challenge us to do it faster than that. So hopefully we can. All right. Any public comment, Liaison Lucas?
There is no public comment, President Aguinaldo.
Thank you, Liaison Lucas. May I have a motion and a second?
I move.
Second.
Thank you very much, trustees. Liaison Lucas, the roll, please.
Hildegard Aguinaldo,
Aye.
Amy Costa,
Aye.
Pamela Haynes.
Aye.
3 approved, 0 opposed. Motion passes, President Aguinaldo.
Thank you, Liaison Lucas. We are moving to item 4.3, appointment of interim VP of Student Services and Success. And for that, I pass it to our General Counsel, Wanda Daniel.
Good morning, President Aguinaldo and members of the Executive Committee. Today, the item before you recommends approval of the appointment of Theodore Tedman Lai to the position of Interim Vice President of Student Services and Success. There's a need for this interim assignment to this position in order to ensure continuity of critical student services and execute the associated duties of the department until a more permanent decision can be made. Mr. Lai is uniquely qualified to assume the interim role, having previously served in the position of Vice President of Student Services and Success for Calbright College. Under the supervision and direction of the President and CEO, the Interim Vice President of Student Services and Success will be responsible for designing, implementing, and providing ongoing support for efforts that enhance the student experience across the student life cycle to drive student access, inclusion, retention, persistence, completion, and career success on a temporary basis. We have included a copy of the interim appointment in the packet for your review, and the terms of the contract will be highlighted by President Aguinaldo prior to being presented to the board for consideration. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, General Counsel Daniel. The Board of Trustees of Calbright College is happy to announce the selection of Theodore Tedman Lai as Interim Vice President of Student Services and Success. Under California law, I am obligated to orally announce all monetary provisions of the appointment and their values. Once I announce the monetary provisions, we will have board discussion and public comment on this item. Then the Board of Trustees will vote on the appointment. The terms of the Interim Vice President of Student Services and Success appointment include appointment on an annual basis beginning July 1, 2026, annual salary of $224,304.36, leave rights consistent with other Calbright classified administrator employees, Membership in CalPERS and related employer contribution is set by statute, and health benefits as currently provided to Calbright classified administrator employees. Is there any trustee discussion?
I just want to say that we've had experience with this particular person in Ted Lay, and it was a wonderful experience. So it's nice to have someone in an interim position that we know, and we know the work that they have successfully done with Calbright. So I would enjoy moving approval of this particular candidate.
Great, thank you very much, Trustee Haynes. Liaison Lucas, any public comment?
Yes, there is public comment, President Aguinaldo. The first public comment is anonymous. As a taxpayer and employee affected by these budget decisions, I am struggling to understand how approving an interim VP position at more than 224,000 can be justified. Employees were told that layoffs could not be rescinded because of budget constraints, yet now the board is being asked to approve funding for a position that was previously identified for elimination. That amount could have preserved multiple staff positions that provide direct support to students in college operations. The message this sends is that there is money available, just not for the employees who were told there wasn't. I respectfully ask the board to look beyond the recommendation before you ask hard questions. Your responsibility is not simply to approve what is proposed, but to ensure that every public dollar is being spent wisely and in the best interest of the institution, its employees, and the taxpayers who fund it. There is another public comment. Just bear with me. Okay, this is from an anonymous attendee. This is a comment for agenda item 4.3 about Ted Ly's appointment. It's so difficult to see this position being approved today, as other employees have been told they are losing their jobs due to a lack of funds. It's difficult to realize that we have dedicated ourselves to the stated mission, and so many are just being discarded and told, thank you for your service, but we can't afford to keep you. And yet there is money available for another executive position that was also originally slated to be laid off. Calbright will keep moving forward post 6:30, but at what cost to the employees who remain? Everything has been smoke and mirrors this last year. All decisions made in the least transparent means possible. How do the remaining employees move forward with any kind of trust that the rug won't be pulled from them again? End of public comments for item 4.3. Oh, I'm sorry, President Aguinaldo, someone just submitted one. Just,
Go ahead, Terry. We'll wait for you.
I'm sorry, it's a little confusing here. This is again an anonymous attendee. The organizational firm results recommended student success and learning instruction be merged. Why are we not filling the recommendation? End of public comments for item 4.3.
Thank you, Liaison Lucas. Trustee Haynes, I believe you provided the motion. May I have a second, please?
Good.
Thank you, Trustee Costa. Liaison Lucas, may I have the roll call?
Hildegard Aguinaldo,
Aye.
Amy Costa,
Aye.
Pamela Haynes. Aye. 3 approved, 0 opposed. Motion passes. President Aguinaldo.
Thank you very much, Liaison Lucas, and thank you to the folks who made the comments. We encourage your participation in the meetings, and just thank you for sharing. All right, the The next section is information and reports. We're going to item 5.1, which is the Calbright and ACE partnership. I will pass that one over to Tamika Connor, our Senior VP of Strategic Initiatives.
Thank you. We're very excited today to have two wonderful guest speakers join us from ACE. We'll go ahead and share our slide deck, and we'll go to the next slide, please. So I am pleased to be joined today by Dr. Matthew Gonzalez. He is the Director of ACE Learning Evaluations, and Thomas Soul, who is the Associate Director of ACE Learning Evaluations. Next slide, please. And I will turn it over to Matt.
Hello, Board of Trustees. Thank you for having us today. We are the American Council on Education based in DC. As a nonprofit, the organization strives to support policy in the name of educators and education. We have quite a few members, colleges, universities, EdTech, who are members of the American Council on Education. And at the same time, we look to review any type of training material, courses that are not presently at a college credit level, or maybe have never been up for college credit, so that individuals can find ways to earn college credit and move their lives forward. And so ACE, as an example, has had the military contract for pretty much as a sole source since World War I. And we have them as a client too. So yeah, we're really looking forward to being here and kind of go over our first review we've done with y'all.
Next slide, please. At Calbright, we serve working adults who often come to us with the primary goal of improving their economic mobility. Many of our students are balancing jobs, families, financial responsibilities, and other life commitments. They chose Calbright because we offer flexible, competency-based programs that help them build valuable workforce skills. But an important question always exists. What happens after Calbright? What if a student wants to continue their education? What if they want to pursue a certificate, an associate's degree, or even a bachelor's degree? Historically, this has been one of the most challenging, one of the biggest challenges facing non-credit education. Students gain valuable knowledge and skills, but there has often been no clear, consistent pathway for that learning to be recognized by other colleges and universities. That is the problem ACE helps solve. The ACE review gives us an opportunity to demonstrate that our programs meet college level expectations, that our students are mastering skills worthy of academic recognition. Next slide, please. For our students, this means that their accomplishments can carry additional value beyond workforce outcomes. For the college, it validates the strength of our curriculum. And for the California Community College system, it creates a model for how non-credit learning can connect to credit-bearing opportunities. The ACE work becomes even more meaningful when viewed alongside Calbright's work with the California Community College System's mapping articulated pathway, which is MAP for short, and it's a credit for prior learning platform. MAP is a statewide effort focused on credit for prior learning. Its goal is to help students receive academic credit for the learning they've already completed, regardless of where that learning occurred. The philosophy behind MAP is simple. Learning is learning. The MAP initiative addresses a challenge faced by many adult learners. They have the skills, they have the knowledge, and they have completed the workforce training. But colleges often lack a consistent process for recognizing that learning. ACE helps to establish the academic value of Calbright's coursework. MAP helps to create the infrastructure for students to apply that value across institutions. Together, ACE and MAP move us closer to a future where student learning can travel with them. Instead of starting over, students can build upon what they've already achieved. Ultimately, this work is about our students. A student who completes a Calbright program should not have to wonder if their learning counts. Our goal is to create clearer pathways, reduce unnecessary barriers, and help students continue their educational journey without repeating learning that they've already mastered. ACE recommendations, again, help establish that academic value. And MAP helps students understand where that value can be applied. Together, these initiatives create greater transparency and opportunity. This work also positions Calbright as a statewide and national leader. We are not simply participating in conversations about non-credit education and credit for prior learning. We are helping to shape what those conversations can look like. Through MAP, Calbright became the first institution helping to create a pathway from non-credit learning to a statewide CPL infrastructure. Through ACE, we now have national validation of the academic quality behind that learning. Together, these efforts advance our mission, supports Vision 2030 priorities, and strengthens educational mobility, and creates new opportunities for adult learners across California. Next slide, please.
All right, this is over to me. My name is Tom, and I'm Associate Director of Learning Evaluations. I work closely with Dr. Gonzalez in the administration of our portfolio of clients, of which we are happy that Calbright is now one. And earlier this year, or I think it might have actually been last year in the preparatory process, Calbright came to us and went through a process of an ACE learning review, and the screen that you're seeing now is a overview of the steps of that process. So we start out with an exploration, which is essentially, determining if a potential client or institution is a match for our services. And the reason we do that is we want to ultimately put any prospective client into a position of success. So we did, make a sort of a initial screening call, and then after that, there's a portfolio that is submitted, which includes, general metadata on the courses, just overview of methods of assessment, content coverage, things of that nature that help us find the proper faculty reviewers. The eligibility process that follows is really a deep dive of that portfolio to make sure that everything is complete and that the things that will help us conduct the best review are present and easy to find. And then we go on to, of course, prepare materials, which in this case was very simple because it was an LMS access-based experience, but we also have capability to do SharePoint and other upload scenarios for different kinds of materials. We also, very importantly, use this time in preparation to recruit faculty. That's probably going to be one of the things for the trustees' most greatest interest, is that our faculty reviewers are all people that are currently teaching in the field of study under review. They have to have been teaching for 5 years in that field, ergo being current in that field, and they teach at a variety of institutions, including other community colleges, four-year colleges, public, private, and all sorts of institutions for breadth and variety. We conducted the review virtually in this case, as is convenient these days for so many people, and it takes around the actual review week takes 5 business days asynchronously. And then within 30 days after, we give you a closing final report where we summarize the results of that review. And that's a general overview of how we get people ready and through a process of reviewing a submission of courses or exams. We also do exams. And yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so the heart of this review were these courses that were submitted in the following buckets: data analysis, project management, human resources and talent acquisition, and then human resources learning and development. And so in a case like this, part of my task on our end at ACE was to go out and from our existing reservoir of faculty experts to go out in the business realm and in the HR realm and in the PM realm, project management realm, and we have our faculty look really through the lens of Bloom's taxonomy of educational outcomes, revised Bloom's taxonomy, that is to say, and we use that as the guide for seeing the cognitive load of each particular thing that we're looking at, as well as, of course, validating very critically validating the learning outcomes versus the course content that we review versus the assessments that are available to us. And that is the method of validating the learning that's going on in these courses. And ultimately, we ask our faculty to make an exercise of translation, essentially. How do these courses that may exist in a non-credit realm, how would we recommend them to be transferred into credit-bearing other institutions? And so it's an act of bridging that divide between the non-credit and the credit realm, and that is exactly what we did. And we're ready for the next slide. Yeah, and the results were very positive. Each of the courses that our faculty members reviewed ended up being recommended for the equivalent of a full semester hour course equivalent at the lower division. So first and second year, well, lower division better than I. As community college versus or first and second year, 4-year college, and you see that 3 is our peg. Um, Colleges and universities that have other systems can translate that into quarters and trimesters and blocks, in their normal way. But for us, that 3 semester hours lower division means that each of these courses was recommended to be the equivalent of a traditional 1 semester long undergraduate experience. And so we report out the number of credits that we recommend. And in case all of these were 3, we recommend the division, lower division, upper division, graduate, vocational. And then we recommend a subject area, and we try to make the subject area helpful for registrars so that they can, have the highest chance of accepting and awarding these credit recommendations to students that are transferring to wherever they are continuing their education. And so it was a very successful review, and we really appreciate that. It was our first time around. We hope it's the first of many, and we were really happy to carry it out. And it was a very, very, very successful experience and enjoyable on both ends. And so congratulations for getting these recommendations on all of the courses that were brought forward. Next slide, please. Yeah, and then the final result to show you where it all goes is that this is our ACE National Guide, and you now have an entry on that national guide that highlights the courses that we reviewed. And for any one of these, the registrar can click on the course title and can go ahead and look at the learning outcomes and the other things that may help them decide on a credit recommendation. I note that there was a note added here that all registrars are sovereign in their own domain, and of course they decide whether to accept the recommendations or not. But we've been doing a lot of good research recently in recent months, to discover just how many universities. I think we're up to 500 and counting that have reference to ACE credit recommendations in some of their public facing transfer policies. So yeah, this is out for the world to see and for registrars to use. And we also have student services. I'll conclude with that since it's always all about the learners. Student services is available for people who have taken these courses. If they have an issue, hey, how do I bring this to a registrar? How do I do this? How do I work a badge or something like that? And we're happy to help them. We have a dedicated student services a staff person here to help your learners. And so yes, it was a really great experience. It was good to get to know Dr. Connor and her team, and also the subject area teams. And we look forward to continuing the partnership in the future. So thanks for having Dr. Gonzalez and me with you today.
Great. Thank you both. Thank you, To everybody, to Thomas, to Dr. Gonzalez, Dr. Connor for the presentation. I'm just remembering a part of President Menon's introductory remarks about how we're actively shaping a new paradigm for higher education. And what I love about our information and reports, and especially about this presentation specifically, is that it is absolutely getting to that. So thank you very much again for sharing all that. Trustee Costa or Haynes, do you have any comments, any discussion for our speakers? Trustee Haynes.
So I don't really have questions. I have an observation, and it's contextual for me. It is going back 7 years, and Calbright had some real challenges in the beginning, and as a board, we needed to make some changes, and we did, and in no small part, um, our president CEO has made Calbright come on the national stage. And so when I read this particular section of the agenda, it actually brought tears to my eyes, and I'm kind of tearing up now. Had we gone on the path that we were initially on, we would never have been here. Never gotten here, because this was not even thought of relative. We were a board that was being introduced to what online could actually be, what that could be envisioned to be. And so, yeah, I'm putting you on the spot, President CEO Menon, but you deserve to be on this particular spot. And California will come around. It is coming around. Our colleges are coming around, but the national landscape that knows what online can be and why it is so desperately needed know that Calbright is in the forefront of what needs to happen to education. It can no longer be just butts and seats, can no longer be one where the credits don't really identify the skills. It can no longer be those kinds of things. And it has become very clear, using Calbright as that barometer, to say that it can be done. It can be done correctly. It can be done not just for the economies of the states that we're in and the communities that we are in, but it can be done on behalf of the communities we are trying to serve. At the end of the day, this is about people, and it is about folks who have been left out and left behind. And that's where the most beautiful part of this work is happening. And so I just want to thank everyone who has been involved in this. You have been brilliant in who you brought on. You have been brilliant, and it has been hard work. There is no, if you have done it with finesse, you have done it with tenacity, but you've done it. And so I know I'm not speaking just for myself. Thank you for being here and hanging in with us to get where we are today, 7 years late. Thank you.
That's leaving me a little bit speechless. But in the context of what you shared, Pam, and the Trustee Haynes, and the presentation that's before us today, it absolutely represents this opening and this milestone. But I will say it also anchors in what we all believed about this, which is learners lead the education revolution. If we as institutional leaders stay rooted in creating what is possible based on the needs that our learners have, and allow ourselves to be driven in that way, I think that's where the moments occur. So to me, the value of work like the ACWE work is not just the approval, the infrastructure, the validation on the quality. It is being a part of a larger ecosystem with other institutional leaders who see opportunities to build off of this infrastructure, right? To think about the many different nonlinear pathways that our learners need to continue to see, that it's not just about credit transfer, but that it's about accelerated ways in which folks can actually connect to the learning and the skills building they need to progress in their lives and in their careers. And so I think it is because we have stayed rooted to that and not restrictive in generating the solutions that can drive those experiences for our learners, that we have such a strong foundation, such an incredible team, such an incredible organization for what now is unlocked for us to do next. And the beneficiaries of this will always be first and foremost learners.
Thank you.
Beautifully said. Any other trustee discussion? All right, Liaison Lucas, any public comment?
There is one public comment, President Aguinaldo. It's anonymous. All 9 of these courses are taught by part-time faculty. When will an adequate number of full-time faculty be hired to teach these courses? End of public comment for item 5.2. I'm sorry, 5.1.
Thank you, Liaison Lucas. Speaking of 5.2, let's go to 5.2, reports on contracts and purchases. For that one, we'll call back Amber Borth, our Controller, Executive Director of Finance. And thank you again to our speakers from 5.1.
Hi, good afternoon. Happy to be here again. Board President Aguinaldo, Calbright President, CEO Menon, and members of the board. That's a tough act to follow. I get to present our standard report for monthly contracts and purchase activity. This includes expenditures for the month of May. The attachments to the agenda include our contracts report for May, which includes 3 professional service agreements and 2 education affiliate agreements. The purchase list total from the prior month is about $208,000. At this time, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Amber. Any questions from our trustees? All right, hearing none. Any public comments?
There is no public comment, President Aguinaldo.
Okay, thank you very much, Amber. You're off the hook. At this time, we will go to our constituency group reports, which is section 6. Item 6.1 is the Calbright Academic Senate report, and there's no report there. Item 6.2 is the Calbright Faculty Association report, and there's no report there. Item 6.
Okay.
Liaison Lucas, did I hear you say something?
No.
Okay. Item 6.3 is the California School Employees Association report, and my understanding is there's no report there. Is that correct, Liaison Lucas?
Pardon me, President Aguinaldo, we have somebody in the room, I think, who is questioning if there's a constituency report.
There was, because I saw it some.
Well, yes. President Aguinaldo, there was a report initially submitted by Donna Howard for the California School Employees Association. But this morning she has reported that she cannot.
But what about the
student
report? I thought the student had one.
Yes.
The student is item 6.4. We haven't quite gotten there yet.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Want to make sure she didn't get passed over.
Yeah, no, she's not getting passed over. She's item 6.4. Associated Students of Calbright College, we have a report from Imani Nakianzi on behalf of Cole Kindred.
What?
Thank you so much. Good morning. Good afternoon, President Aguinaldo, members of board, and trustees, executive committee, and all other protocols of law. I am here to present the ACC constituency report for this month on behalf of the ACC President Paul Kendrick. My name is Imani Nakianzi. I am honored to continue serving as the 2026 Vice President of the Associate Students at Calbright College. I remain grateful for the trust placed for the trust placed in me by the Calbright student body and committed to leading with transparency, structure, and measurable student impact. The Associate Students of Calbright College Constitution amended voting process was formally completed, marking a significant milestone for strengthening shared governance and reinforcement of student participation in structured decision making. This process demonstrated increased civic engagement and growing awareness of student rights within institutional frameworks. The advocacy work group remains under structured development. Leadership is finalizing scope definitions, clearly outlining what the group will and will not undertake before formally placing it into a monthly meeting agenda. This measured approach protects clarity of purpose, avoids overlaps with existing bodies, and ensures sustainable implementation. The events work group successfully mapped programming throughout June, creating predictable and consistent engagement opportunities. A new team member was added to the events work group, strengthening operational capacity and long-term sustainability. Events programming has further deepened our sense of community. The Students Associations of Calbright College successfully hosted multiple events in April, including demos, boat house, snacks, turning points, nostalgic tunes, and the level up neural inclusion sessions. Of these, the level up sessions saw the most significant attendance growth with up to 14% of students participating in a meaningful percentage of our online institutions. Development of the Associated Students of Calbright Communications workgroups continued this month. This initiative is designed to centralize update, improve clarity of messaging, and enhance accessibility between students' leaderships and the broader Calbright community. The objective remains reducing communication fragmentation and strengthening transparency. The Associated Students of Calbright College coordinated and hosted an event focused on autism as part of our continued commitment to the awareness and actionable inclusion, reinforcing Associated Students of Calbright College's commitment to creating lasting support structures within Calbright's online learning environment. Accessibility practices continue to be integrated into communications and digital engagement efforts, supporting equitable access to all students, including those who rely on assistive technologies. We have implemented and are putting an emphasis on accessibility compliance strategies grounding in the web content accessibility guidelines. Leadership strengthening remains a priority. With all officers' roles filled, we continue liberating person's strength insights to assign responsibilities in alignment with individual strength, fostering accountability, role clarity, and effective collaboration. Monthly check-ins have further reinforced culture of mutual support and follow-throughs among the officers' teams, ensuring that every member is seen, supported, and set up for success. As the Associated Students of Calbright College moves into summer term, the focus remains on understanding engagement, sustainable governance practices, accessibility, and measurable student impact. The systems and initiatives established during the spring term are designed not only for the short-term success, but for the long-term culture growth with Calbright College. We remain committed to ensuring that every student feels supported, connected, and presented. Thank you for your continued support of the students' leadership and despite of all in strengthening Calbright College experiences. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amani. It's always great to hear directly from the students how you're doing, and it's wonderful to see all the progress. I just wanted to clarify for the record too that there are reports that are actually on the board meeting materials. So if you wanted to see the report from the CSEA or from the Associated Students, that would be on the agenda. It's not that they didn't have a report. So Imani, thank you very much, and thanks everyone for your understanding on that part. Liaison Lucas, anything on 7.1? Are there any members of the public who wish to be heard?
Yes, President Aguinaldo, we have several people that want to be heard and some are anonymous. I'm going
Please.
to start with the first one, which is a public comment from Jennifer Cunningham. And Jennifer, I am allowing to speak. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jennifer Cunningham, and I'm a former employee of Calbright College. I thoroughly enjoyed my time at Calbright assisting hundreds of students. I was fortunate to work with an outstanding team of career professionals, and I believe we were one of the few teams that showed consistent, positive, and measurable outcomes. I want to begin by saying that I'm not here as a disgruntled former employee. I have moved on professionally and have secured employment elsewhere. I'm speaking today as a California taxpayer and someone who believes in Calbright's mission. The vision of expanding educational and workforce opportunities for Californians is a worthy one. However, I became increasingly concerned by what appeared to be wasteful spending and lack of accountability on how public funds are being used. During my time at Calbright, I observed situations where outside consultants were hired to provide guidance on work that staff had already completed. Taxpayer dollars were spent producing recommendations that often duplicated existing efforts. This is just one example of what appeared to be a broader pattern of inefficiency. These observations are compared with having prior work in a Cal State system, in a local government organization, and at a private university, where fiscal responsibility was scrutinized at every turn. My concern is not with the dedicated employees who work hard to serve students. My concern is whether the resources are being managed in a way that maximizes value for California taxpayers and supports student success. I sincerely hope that the board takes a close look at these issues and demands greater transparency and accountability. The mission of Calbright is too important to be overshadowed by wasteful spending. Californians deserve confidence that every possible dollar is being directed toward serving students rather than unnecessary bureaucracy. My hope is simple, that the waste ends, accountability increases, and Calbright fulfills its promise in a way that honors both its students and the taxpayers who fund it. I respectfully ask that the board review consulting expenditures and administration salaries, evaluate their measurable impact, and ensure that taxpayer dollars are being directed toward activities that directly support students and Calbright's mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. The second public comment is from Mike Palmieri. Mike, I have just allowed you to speak. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Terry. Hello, members of the board. My name is Mike Palmieri, and I have been and I have been a career services specialist at Calbright for a little over 2 years. I am one of 3 career services specialists. 2 of our positions were laid off. My specific specialist role was kept to continue providing direct career development and job search services and support to our students within our college's mission to improve student career and economic mobility. However, I personally ended up being laid off because a colleague in a different role who was more senior at Calbright had their position laid off, and they were then eligible to bump me from my role, which is just how the process works. There's no hard feelings. I don't know whether there will be more career services specialist positions recalled, so that I might have the opportunity to return to Calbright, or whether a single person in that position will be expected to support our more than 8,400 current students. In either case, I wanted to share some very brief thoughts with you. When you've seen or heard from me here at these board meetings in the past, it was typically in my union role, and I spoke broadly about my colleagues and about classified employee concerns. And while I'm sure that any of my colleagues will tell you I am not typically one to tout my own accomplishments, today I'm going to do that for a moment and talk about myself and my career services colleagues. I have consistently received exceptional feedback from students, and surveys about both my individual sessions as well as the educational workshops I've created and facilitated. In our employee Slack community, our career services team has repeatedly received kudos for our work with students, including helping them navigate job searches successfully, resulting in job offers. We have each built rapport with students who then chose to continue meeting with us individually, in several cases for many sessions over the course of their time at Calbright. Ask anyone here and they will tell you that we love working with our students. And importantly, we are very good at it. So whether more career services specialist positions are ever brought back, I just wanted to publicly acknowledge this in this space. We were here and we made a difference for our students. I wish Calbright luck in the future, and I know that we'd all love to be a part of it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. The next is an anonymous comment. After hearing the president's remarks, it seems students will continue without proper support staff. Sure, you brought back some managers and some staff, but again, majority of those are not students facing roles. And because of the choices made by this college, the enrollment services team will have 2 people to support all 8,000 plus student increasing calls, while at the same time asking different areas to support that work because they're so painfully impacted and busy. Work that this college deemed only 2 people will be able to support. Wrong again. As a taxpayer and as a student, I can't wait to see how the colleges plan to approach this and how the board plans to hold the college accountable. Operational priorities are not something waiting to be finalized. The operational needs exist now and they are not being addressed. That's the end of that comment. The next anonymous comment is VP positions need to move beyond the comfort of people we know to competent individuals. End of that comment. Anonymous comment. Today, Calbright celebrates the $53 million budget, which is amazing news. $53 million. A full budget intended to continue funding the services that Calbright provides to the students. A budget based on current infrastructure made up of people. Again, this is excellent news and resulted in a portion of Calbright people having their layoff notices rescinded, but so many laid off people are still laid off. For the past several months, President Menon has repeatedly said that the layoffs, which were due to budgetary necessity, were completely separate from the eventual planned reorganization of the college, and that the goal is to return the people laid off to their roles. Since the $53 million of full funding removes the budgetary emergency, now is the time to find out whether President Menon is a leader of her word. It is also the time to find out if this board will hold her accountable to her word and bring back all of the people in positions that the state so value in funding. End of that public comment. Okay, the next comment is from Omar Zavala. Omar, I have allowed you to speak. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. You guys probably know I was trying to go to your community colleges. I looked at Calbright and I'm really interested in some other courses like network technology, defensive cybersecurity, data analytics. There was a medical coding one that looked interesting too. But I'm still worried about the tech that's being used in these classes and how it doesn't respect students' rights and safety. We just saw with Canvas a bunch of students data leaked into or was breached into a criminal extortion gang literally got hold of student data. It was so bad. Instructure, the parent company, had to pay out the criminals, and the House Committee of Homeland Security actually called the leaders of Instructure because it's a national security threat. We're seeing other problems like with Oracle PeopleSoft server that might impact other schools. I'm not sure if it would impact Calbright, but you also use Google, which we've seen recently with the Stanford commencement speech with the Google CEO, the walkouts, because students don't want their information and their work to be used for companies that are profiting off a genocide. Canvas has a product called Impact that collects a bunch of analytic data, and from students, they sell this product and the foundation buys it. There is no consent. When I'm trying to go to class, I don't want data extracted from me and being used to build a product. Right? We see cases with these companies turning over student data for government requests for information without judicial warrants. Of course, this is dangerous to students that could be students that are immigrants. It hurts our amendment rights if we ever speak out critical of our government. Why isn't our Fourth Amendment protected? Why are these companies gathering so much data on us and then able to just turn it over? Why aren't our rights expected? I've been hearing about. I went back and looked at the prior meeting and hearing about these layoffs. There's the problems that are happening here are extending to the California community colleges. The problems with mismanagement. There's so many problems that are happening that are affecting everyone, and a lot of people are burnt out to the point where our student representatives and our staff knows that there's violations of students' rights, but they don't have the time to speak out. We need to find ways to communicate and coordinate and improve the situation. We need to organize. We need to talk about and understand each other's problems. Students are being hurt, staff is being hurt. We need to organize now and protect students and their rights and protect the livelihoods of the employees that are keeping these places running. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. We have one more public comment, President Aguinaldo. I'm going to read it on behalf of Amani. Amani says, I am thankful to Mike Palmieri because of your career services. I am now getting job interviews from the state, and I have 2 more scheduled job interviews with the state. Thank you. I'm sad to know you are. End of the public forum comments.
Thank you, Liaison Lucas, and thank you again to all the speakers for engaging and sharing your thoughts with us. At this time, we've reached the end of our agenda. The business of the Board of Trustees is now complete and we can adjourn. Thank you very much for your participation. It's 1:11. Take care, everybody.